Okay, I think that's much better. All right, testing. We are live, y'all, just so you will know. Okay, I think that's much better. Woohoo! Okay, I had to check that. I did not want to get like 30 minutes into this live, and we were on mute. Oh my God. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are in Facebook land, YouTube land, greetings to you. Welcome to the space. So, it is Behold a New Month, and this month's focus is going to be all about breaking up with burnout. So, just a few announcements as well before we get started. Last month was all about self love. We concluded our self love summit last week. Yes, if you missed out or if you didn't hear about it, there are still opportunities to join. You a bit early for the one next year, but we have some spots for some things if you want to join in with the one with the experience that we just had now. So we just had the self-love clinic with the our theme was loving me more. Some brilliant guests. We had some therapists, some coaches, some specialists, all to talk about growing in your healing phase, growing in your business, and also getting deepening your connections, meaning your relationships with other people around you, and letting self-love principles be the base of that. So we concluded that out. Very unique experience, and I will say unique because it was a room where people could share all of the wonderful things that are going on in their lives because of self love and also because of the things that they learned from the summit and from our speakers. It was a very personal space, so it was not online. We do have that recorded. I like to go off of live streaming, things like that, when I want to create an experience for women to just share, women to be honest, open, and transparent. As I was told by one of my friends, she made a comment and said it was a hot space. It was a space right on time to be honest, open, and transparent. And that's exactly my intention for that. So that's the self-love clinic. I'm sorry. And I will have more information about that as well on how to join. Like I said, moving forward, we are in a new month and we're talking about breaking up with burnout. So I got my water here with me on tonight. We are going to make sure we're hydrating. So I'll be sipping on that periodically. I suggest you grab some water as well if you're listening to me in the background. And shout out to you for if you are a replay viewer, if you are a repeat viewer, thank you so much for coming in and joining in to all of the talks. Hey, Asia. Hey, Derek. I see y'all watching. I also have my cell phone down here with me so I can see you coming into the room. So say hello in the comments because I definitely shout you out. Kudos to you as a replay viewer as well. I appreciate you. Thank you all so much for sharing this out for people who really need to hear the message, or if you are enjoying the message and you just want to share it with your friendship circles, or you want to share it with your inner circle of people. I do appreciate you sharing the message. It lets the platforms know that this is something that you want to hear more of, and that way they will show more of my content to you. So thank you so much for sharing this out as well. Y'all would not believe how many times people will come up to me and say, hey, I've been watching your videos. I had no idea they were watching the videos, because I don't see every certain thing, exactly when they come in, but I'm not focused on, who's watching it. Of course, I'm focused on you because you're here with me. I am focused on making sure you are heard and that we are getting this information out to you. We are about embracing your brilliance around here on this corner of the internet with Align with Dr. Kim. You definitely were made for more than just paying your bills, waiting for the weekend, putting things on auto pay, going to work, and that's it. It is definitely time to embrace your brilliance. So thank you so much for liking the channel, for subscribing and making comments with me in this session, in this place. I definitely want to share that with you as well. If you're new here, my name is Dr. Kim of Align with Dr. Kim, where we heal from burnout and create balance so we can embrace our brilliance and well-being. So, do you find yourself being constantly overwhelmed? Do you find yourself being stressed very, very often? Different waves of stress, different amounts, different areas, different parts of your life? If you do, we're going to talk about tonight, could that be burnout? Is it just stress? What's the difference between it? What signs show up in your body to definitely let you know that, hey, this is burnout and you need to immediately do something about it? Burnout creeps up on you, and I know there are different areas and different ways a person can experience burnout. I'm mainly talking to people who are introverted, people who are high achievers, people who give so much of themselves. You may be a little perfectionistic, you may do a little procrastinating here and there. Whatever, your vices are, you definitely have some virtues. You are an honoring person. You're a person that gives your all. You're a person that loves to just show up and do things fully in yourself and do it in a way that shows a sign of excellence in there. It's been your trademark like your entire life pretty much. You like to do things in a certain method, and you like for the people around you to not just be pleased, but you like for them to feel loved and to be well served as well. If that's you and you notice that you've been in cycles of stress over and over again, it's time for us to talk about, how do you know if it's stress? How do you know if it's burnout? So, I am gonna pull up some of my banners here on tonight so I can mark this in the video where we are. So we're talking about understanding stress. So stress is your body's natural response to a challenge, whether it be a positive or negative challenge or any type of demand. And it triggers some type of physical, mental, and emotional reaction in your body to help you adapt to those changes. The problem comes in is when those stressors are long term and your body does not have a chance to come back to normal. And it starts to think that that high level of stress is a norm. That's where all the dangers lurk in. So, some of the physical symptoms of stress that we experience, and y'all let me know too, what have you noticed about yourself when you're stressed out? And this will give you an opportunity to start becoming aware of your triggers. You need to know your triggers so that way you can avert, so that way you can handle things when they come up. So just drop that in the comments as well. What types of things do you notice in your life when you're starting to feel stressed? So some of the physical things that happen are the headache, the muscle tension, the body tension, being upset in the stomach. You can't eat anything. You can't, you just have no desire to eat at all. It's like you lost your appetite, the high amount of stress, rapid heartbeat, feeling like this anxiety. Some people have been diagnosed with different panic attacks because that's the response in your body of what's going on. Sometimes it comes on all at once. Sometimes it just comes out of nowhere and it's not related to anything. But it's a response in your body, some things that may have been lying dormant that are coming up to the surface to communicate and let you know there is something in your field or in your environment that requires your attention. Emotionally, it may look like irritability, mood swings, just feeling overwhelmed, like you just swamped. And mentally, it may look like it's hard to concentrate. You're saying, oh, I'm just getting older and I got the brain fog, different things like that, difficulty with staying positive, and you just find yourself having these negative thoughts. Or you notice changes in your sleep. You may be avoiding certain responsibilities. All of those are signs of stress. So I'm assuming that y'all are agreeing with me with that, because I don't see any responses yet in the comments. But I know you are saying, yep, that's exactly what I do. Now, those stress responses will also trigger what's known as a fight or flight response in your body. Fight or flight mean that's the rapid heartbeat. That's pretty much the part of our system that is preparing itself for some type of danger. There are hormones in your body, your adrenaline levels, your cortisol levels, all the things that you hear about in the commercials where they tell you if it's in dangerous high amounts, they prescribe this medication or they want to do those type of things. Well, if you're in a high stress state, you're going to have these things constantly going on in your body. And why that's not so healthy is because it cuts off other life-giving systems in your body. Like we said, it messes with your stomach. If your body believes it's being chased by a big tiger, it is not going to take time to digest food. It is not going to take time to grow your hair. It's going to send all priorities to the limbs, to your heart, to your senses, to your awareness, to your mind, to pick up what's going on in your environment. So it's like a surge of energy. And some people like it doing the adrenaline rush sometimes. And when this becomes like a status quo or a norm for your system kind of gets addicted to that, or you may be used to it just because of pre-genetic factors. There are studies that have shown people who have grown up in high stress environments, you tend to go into even stressful jobs. You attract stressful relationships. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but the research says it. And we can see that in a lot of people's lives as well. So what about this fight or flight response, do we need to notice? What's dangerous about being in that state for a long time is the fact that it weakens your immune system. I already talked about the digestive issues, the acid reflux, the GERD, all of these problems that you start to step into in your 30s, or even some people even have that earlier than 30s in their life because they think it's a normal part of aging. No, 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 no. High amounts of stress, being in fight or flight mode all of the time is not a normal thing. And if you have a lifestyle that is surrounded by that, this is your wake up call to make some lifestyle or some life adjustments so you can prolong your life. So, what are some healthy ways to cope? Let's explore some healthy ways to cope with the day to day stressors. So, one thing is making sure that you have a spiritual practice and that you are fully just involved in that. And a spiritual practice could be a meditative walk or a walking meditation when you just take a 10-minute walk, or a 5-minute stretch and breathe, or you are in prayer, meditative practices, gratitude journaling, nurturing the inner part of you. We talked about this in the self-love clinic. I am so passionate about this. We talked about inner child healing and understanding what that looks like, and being able to become aware and listen to that part of yourself. Definitely in a spiritual practice, you're connecting to something bigger, something greater on the outside of you, and drawing strength in. For me, that's God. For me, that's talking to God, spending more time with God, seeking God for his will, seeking God for comfort, seeking God for answers, all of those type of things. And usually when I notice I'm on the edge of burnout, it's because I've neglected some of those practices. And that's something that I am working with actually now with one of my accountability friends, one of my coaching friends. We're working on that. A few other things that you want to do when you're coping with stress is making sure you have support. You have supportive connections. Like I talked about, an accountability partner, safe people that you can go to when you are stressed out. Now, those safe people may also be paid people that are in your circle, like a therapist or a coach or someone that you do not know at all, but someone that has enough capacity and also sometimes has enough training to help lead you into a more neutral space, into a more positive space, so you can level out the amounts of stress that you are dealing with. Honoring your needs. If you're an introvert and you've been on go, 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 go mode, or I know for me, after the summit, this weekend, I had to have about a good half of a day where I would just lay on the couch. I found this wonderful anime series on Netflix, and I was having so much fun, y'all. I had an event later on that night. I didn't want to go. Shout out to people who understand when we get plans canceled, how happy we get about that. That makes us excited. It's like, oh, I get to stay at home. Oh, yay, yes. But yeah, I was recharging, but honoring the fact that you need to recharge. Sometimes you may have to say no to certain events just so you can give yourself the space you need. Sometimes processing things requires you to step away from people. Not that you're isolating, but that you're recharging. And however long it takes, if you have to carve out time so you can recharge, do that for yourself. So those are some healthy ways to cope. Now, how do we recognize burnout? And what is burnout? Three main areas, of course, it's going to affect is your physical, your emotional, and your mental. It's going to cause the key exhaustion. You're mentally exhausted. You can't hardly have the mental capacity to do your job. You're physically exhausted. Getting home in the evening, you ready to get in the bed. Physically exhausted, emotionally exhausted. Your partner, the things that they have going on, you're not ignoring them. It's just you're too tired to even address things or even respond to things with them. And that's a level of exhaustion that puts your relationships, your work, and the things that you enjoy and your mental health at risk when it's going on for way too long. So, some of the main components, some of them, well, before we go to those mental, physical, and emotional signs, the main three components of burnout is you're going to be that's the emotional exhaustion that I talked about. It's the cynicism. You've detached from everything and you have a negative outlook on things. It just does not feel right anymore. You're not interested in it. And then there's a reduced sense of personal accomplishment, meaning your levels of confidence and competence are starting to decrease significantly because you're not able to show up to prepare for your reports and you're not able to give the great talks or the meetings that you've been able to do, or you're able to delegate some things, but you just don't have the energy to come up with the agendas or to help move the company forward or to show up for your child who may need something for tomorrow and you totally miss out on. It's like you've completely checked out, not because you are mean or because you don't want to be there, but it's because you are literally to the point of burnout and exhaustion. So, what does that look like in your physical and your emotional body? So, some of the physical signs are it's messing with your sleep, or you cannot sleep enough at night. There are the headaches, the muscle pain that we talked about earlier, the upset stomach, the acid reflux. Emotionally, they may look like you being irritated. You're snapping at people and cutting them off so often. You're emotionally numb. You're having the mood swings going to and fro. You may be blaming it on the hormones, but it's because you're exhausted. Some people do have hormonal things going on with them as well. And yes, go get your lab work done. Go get all of those things checked out. But a lot of times, those physical symptoms are manifestations of deeper issues that have gone on so long. And a lot of times it's hard to find because it has been going on for so long, or it may just be singled out as something physically, but it's the meeting place between you have the physical symptoms, the emotional signs, and the mental signs. The mental signs is the impaired concentration. The mental sign is I have no motivation for things. And you have to take an assessment of your life and decide, hey, where have I been pouring out lately? And where have I been receiving lately? What am I receiving? Where have I been pouring out? And that gives you a clue as to, okay, I'm doing a little bit much in here. I really have been doing a lot there. And sometimes we don't see it because that has become your operating system. When that's your operating system and you're operating at these high levels of giving, achieving, doing, helping in this area, being available for this person, but you have neglected your own inner self, you've neglected your own life, it's going to show up in your body. It's going to show up in your brain is literally going to say, hey, I can't go any further. And I've been there before. We've had those moments where it's like, hey, what's going on with me? I can't give the way I want to give and do the things that I want. You're tired. You are exhausted and to the point of exhaustion. And we want to catch some of those things and we want to become aware of those things before the crash starts to happen. So, what are some of the long term effects of that? Long term effects meaning if this state continues to go on and on and on, the gastrointestinal problems, the stomach problems, not being able to concentrate, not being able to sleep, stressed out, not being able to fully be in full presence in your work life, in your home life, in your relationships, that's going to affect you inner and it's going to affect you on the outside of your life, the environment around you. Your physical health will start to suffer. Yes, everything that we do, if there's or if you have some type of ailment going on in your body or some type of diagnosis, yes, it's going to get worse with stress. And I know I can hear people saying, I just let me get through this month, just let me get through this week, I'm gonna sit down somewhere, I'm gonna be still somewhere. If you do not give your body what it needs, it will make you sit down in the form of some type of sickness or illness. A lot of times, these major chronic autoimmune disorders can be traced to this having this high flight or fight system in constant mode all the time. And your body is just, it's trying to keep you alive, but it's gone to a point where it can't do anymore. So, hypertension, high blood pressure is a main one. That's a big one that shows up. If you have a system of how you do things and you're constantly going end upon end upon end, and you have hypertension or you got the headaches, all of those type of things, the dizziness, you got heart disease issues that run in your family, it's time to check in. It's time to check in with yourself and make some lifestyle adjustments, not just get more rest, not just keep switching different jobs, but you have to change the way you do things. You have to change your mindset. You have to change even how you speak about things. It gets that deep and that heavy. It does. I'm going to check in with the comments because I'm over here on my other page as well. But thank y'all for coming in. I see my cousin in the room. Hey, Alyssa. Um, Hey Perry. Hey Raquel. Hey Shelby. How y'all doing? Thank you so much for coming in. Thank y'all for sharing this out as well, because it gets it out to more people also. So those physical things that go on, yeah, it turns into chronic illness because your body is basically trying to protect itself, or the mechanisms in your body to keep you alive are starting to fail. Our blood pressure turns into which is known as hypertension, turns into heart disease, it turns into stroke, all of those type of things. It can mess with your hormonal systems, with your stomach, turning things in like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis from different having a high amounts of stress, high amounts of cortisol running in your body. Diabetes is something that can turn into. Why? High stressful situations, your body just can't respond to the food like it used to with your insulin levels, and those things are out of whack. If you've got gene expression with it, meaning that it ran into your in the background of your family, it's something that's likely to be turned on in your body. These are some of the just the physical long term, but it shows up mentally, such as the anxiety disorders. It shows up in your personal and your professional life. Um, not being able to have great relationships, strained relationships, having setbacks in your career, not getting a promotion you want. This is why we pay attention to those things and we look at, what's going on. How can I, become more aware of this? Those are all of the danger signs of having a long-term burnout or the long-term stressors in your life. And we're going to talk about how stress can turn into burnout if you don't catch it in time. Yeah, those are my alarms and my systems going off. I have an alarm set so I can, but tonight that's okay. We're in a live stream, so it's okay. I know that gives me a hint as to how things are going. That was just for me. Yes, it was. So let's talk about the differences between the stress and the burnout. So, some of the similarities with stress and burnout is the fact that it can affect you physically, mentally, and emotionally. It can mess with your sleeping patterns. You can be overwhelmed. You can have the strained relationships because of the stress. The main difference, though, the stress is going to be temporary. You'll be emotional. You'll have like a sense of urgency and just ready to go in, or you may be frustrated with things and feel overwhelmed. But stress is short term. Stress, it has a beginning, it has a middle, and there has to be an end. That's what stress is. Burnout is when you've completely checked out. Your emotions are numb. You have no interest in the things that you used to do, no motivation. You may even become detached from people and certain hobbies that you like, certain work and everything. You just have no interest in it at all. And there's this sense of despair and hopelessness. Like there's this sense of, hey, if I don't change something, it's gonna get pretty dark, and depression starts to come in. This is where the mental parts give you some issues. But stress is short term. It does end. You handle things, you're able to rest, you're in a positive state of mood, and then you're able to move on and be in a positive space in life as well. Those are some of the key differences in it. So, how does stress turn into burnout? Gradually. Remember, I was talking about the long term, how stress, if it's in your body for a long periods of time, that will affect it. If it's that when you have those periods of stress and your recovery time, you're not able to recover and you have to pick right back up and go into one thing. It's like one battle after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. That's a chronic amount of stress, and that can become burnout where it leaves you detached. You have no interest in anything, the hopelessness and the despair. You don't have coping mechanisms, or you're not practicing the things to cope, or they're not positive coping mechanisms. There can be positive and negative ways that people cope with the stress that's in their life. When people begin to get disengaged, that can become burnout when you're just avoiding it. And that's my story. When I was avoiding, it's like, hey, I have all these things. Your body and your life is asking for a response from you, but you just keep going forward because all you know at the time. And no shade to anybody, we do the best that we can with what we have and with the information of what we know at the time. And those of you all who have been in burnout in the past or been in cycles of burnout in the past, you definitely understand that you have to give yourself grace and move forward with it. And you know exactly what I mean with that. I'm checking to see if y'all got any questions with anything as well, because that was pretty deep. It things can really show up there. All right, had to take a sip of water there. So, how can we start What does an assessment look like? And I can sense it's like, okay, I'm just stressed out right now. Or yeah, I am to the point of burnout and I really don't want to do anything. Um, People are having issues in their relationships, and it's like, how do I check in with myself so I can fully give myself to a thing? The things that you want to happen in life, you're going to have the capacity to participate and to engage with those things. The burnout will cause you to check out. It's like being behind a glass wall. If you want to get over to the other side, it's like the glass wall was never there before, but it's a barrier to you getting to where you're supposed to be, getting to the promised land, if you will. And that's what we're trying to break through this month with our talks and our live streams and the things we sign up with on our email list is, how do you break through that? How do you break up with your own mental and physical and emotional habits that are leading to the burnout? Well, number one, to assess it and start detecting it early, we have regular check ins. The power of the self check in. It starts with self. Yes, we want community. Yes, we want to be there with other people. But when you start to check in with yourself, asking yourself, how are you doing? Really? Do you get asked that question on a daily basis? Like, hey, how are you doing really? Really, how are you doing? And then if you're asked that question, does it get to you like in the pit of your stomach or in your chest, like you just feel it in your body, like the heaviness and everything, or you don't want to really share with people what you have going on? This is still the power of the self check in with asking yourself that question, because you are valuable, you are important, and you're worthy of that. You need to start checking on your mood. How are you feeling? What are your energy levels like? Um, do you feel like you have a sense of purpose this week? And start noticing, how that changes throughout the day or doing it weekly. If you're in a severe place, I would say check in with yourself every day. Check in with yourself multiple times a day. And you start to notice the patterns like, oh, when I was in this space, I felt better. Oh, when I was over here in this space, I did not feel so great. And you acknowledge that, and you take the next best action for yourself to get to a better place with that. Notice your body signals. Remember when I said, when people say something or when you ask yourself that, see what your body is doing. But there are other body signals. Are you thirsty? Are you sleepy a lot of the times? Do you have headaches? Are the headache levels going up, a lot? um I'm reminded of The Best Man, the series. It was on Peacock, and I remember watching it. And the character Jordan, she was somebody that I think is definitely somebody who would watch this channel and the stuff that I'm talking about. She would definitely identify with the lifestyle that I'm talking about. And if y'all know who Jordan is, shout out to you. Jordan was the one. I don't remember everybody's name, but the character Tay Diggs, he was married, or married to somebody else, but he still had like a flame with her, and she had a flame with him. But either way, she was this high stress person. It was even hard for her to just be on vacation, but she eventually learned how to enjoy herself. But she was somebody who was she started having like a lot of headaches, and she would have to like turn her lights off and lay down in her office and everything. And I was like, girl, you need to go to a chiropractor. But she did need to make some lifestyle changes to find out what was going on. But those are warning signs in your body. It may not be that you need to switch jobs, and sometimes that is the case with everything. But what's going to stop you when you get to the next job from picking up the same amount of work? What's going to stop you from that? Paying attention to how you're feeling, how you're doing, what's going on in your body, and also noticing, how long has it been difficult for you to focus on something. um How long have you noticed that you just don't enjoy doing the same things that you used to enjoy? Like if you enjoy cooking or spending time with your friends, or if it's coloring or water or something like that. How long have you noticed you've gone without that enjoyment? Those are things you need to check in with so you can assess, what's the level of joy in my life right now? What types of things, did I used to do that I'm just no longer doing it anymore, that I just really enjoy? And those things will give you a clue as well as to, okay, yeah, I'm stepping into, almost a red zone, or I'm stepping into a yellow zone here. And I'm talking about the traffic lights, y'all. Green, yellow, red, or amber, as some people would say. But yeah, it lets you know that you're in a caution zone, and that, hey, you need to pay attention and start doing some other things as well. But those are some things to look at, to start assessing and detecting yourself, to say, hey, this has been going on for way too long, and it's time to change it. I don't see we have any questions about anything. Just wanted to check in with y'all. Definitely, if you are, watching me, or you're not able to continue to watch the full thing, like the video so you'll be able to come back to it, or share it on your page so you'll be able to listen to it again as well. The next thing I want to share with you, and the last thing is, hey, what are some main things that you need to focus on in recovery? It's like, okay, I already know I'm in burnout, and I need to know what, I need to do. Woosah, woosah. The first thing I'm still going to say to you is to connect in faith and with your purpose. What do you believe? What do you believe God has for you? What do you believe about it? And what is it that you want? What do you believe God has for you? And what is it that you want? Answer those two questions for yourself. And you may have to do some searching for it. That is going to require you to carve out some time to think about that. When you have certain long commutes, instead of listening to reports or making phone calls, those phone calls that you're trying to squeeze in because you're trying to find 2 minutes to do like 50 billion things on your to-do list, take 2 minutes and answer those questions for yourself, and breathe when you're doing it. Focus on it. That's one place I will tell you to start. The next thing is, you still got to create more space for you to recharge. And that's going to require you to say, hey, where does my attention absolutely have to be right now? What is it that I can move off of my plate, off of my list, off of my day, out of my week, out of my month, so I can recharge? You may not be getting enough sleep at night because you're working on too many projects up until 11 o'clock at night. You need at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep so your body can recharge and be healthy. That's going to help your immune system get better. That's going to help the pain start to go away. You need sleep. You need to recharge. I say sleep first, but recharge can also look like if you need to sit in your space, or go outside, or go in a different environment. Sometimes a different environment will help you, because your environment now is triggering you to do all of these things. It's got these people in it that you have trained to depend on you and call on you when they need something. Sometimes you got to extract yourself from that environment, from that way of being, so you can recharge and see, oh, I need this. Oh, I need to put this here. I would like this here. When you're taking these vacations and scheduling them and leaving your work behind, what are you actively putting in place or reflecting on so you can change the way you do things? And this is where building your routine comes in, because you need a routine for recovery. Because unless you got a space and God bless you, I had to do a sabbatical. It wasn't anything I could avoid. It was right there for me. It was like, hey, you got to go be still. And it took about 3 years. But recovery can be in motion. It can be a daily routine for you, where you are keeping yourself full of joy. You are replenishing. You have self-care plans in place, daily, monthly, weekly type of things. You're feeding and nourishing your mind. You're becoming more emotionally flexible. And you are learning to authentically check in with yourself and take the next steps forward into that next place of joy in your life. The thing that answers the question, what do you believe God has for you? And what do you want? When you can start fully engaging in that because you've answered those two questions. That's what routinely and moving through that, and then that's the outcome that you get for yourself when you have been able to break up with the burnout. You've been able to break through the burnout into your place of brilliance. I hope this has been helpful for you. I want to remind you again to like, to comment, and to subscribe to Align with Dr. Kim here on YouTube and on my channel on Facebook as well. We are multi-streaming right now. That's also a tip as well. Sometimes you have to look for different apps and systems that will help you get the things done, and people that will help you get the things done and to work through them as well. I do have a link on my website for my ebook known as Burnout to Breakthrough. I'm sorry, Burnout to Brilliance, my guide for self-care transformation. If you are looking to go more into your self-care routines, or you're looking to set that up and have a structure, the guide that I have walks you through a process on how to do that. Is completely free. It's my gift to you. You can definitely download that. You can go to my website at Align with Dr. Kim for it. I will link it around where these videos are. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one here. I do want to say our theme is still, breaking up with the burnout, and I'll have more things about that to help you throughout that process. I will also be sharing with you some other stories from some people who have came on out on the other side of burnout and what their breakthrough looks like, what brilliance looks like for them. So I'm really wanting to share that on this platform, and for that to be a space where we can be encouraged, where we can share our stories, and also we can get the strength that we need to keep engaging and embracing our brilliance. Y'all have a wonderful evening.